The morning sun filtered through the curtains of a modest apartment where a young mother sat at the kitchen table, staring at unpaid bills scattered before her. Her hands trembled slightly as she counted the remaining money in her wallet. It had been 3 years since her husband walked out, leaving her alone with 2 young children and a mountain of debt she never knew existed. She worked 2 jobs now, barely sleeping for hours a night. Her daughter was 7, her son only 5. They deserved so much more than this struggle, more than watching their mother's eyes grow hollow with exhaustion, more than hearing her cry quietly in the bathroom when she thought they were asleep. At the hospital where she worked as a nurse, she moved through her shifts like a ghost. Colleagues whispered about her situation with pitying glances. The head surgeon, a divorced man in his early 40s, had begun noticing her. He would find excuses to talk to her, bringing coffee during night shifts, asking gentle questions about her children. His kindness felt foreign, almost suspicious. She had built walls so high that warmth couldn't penetrate them anymore. One evening, her daughter came home from school with tears streaming down her face. The other children had mocked her worn shoes, her faded uniform. The mother held her child close, feeling each sob like a knife to her heart. That night, as she tucked both children into bed, her son asked the question that shattered her. When would Daddy come home? She had no answer. How could she explain that Daddy had chosen another life, another family, that he sent no money, made no calls, existed only as a fading photograph on the shelf? The surgeon's attention grew more persistent. He invited her to dinner, which she declined. He offered to help with the children's school fees, which she refused, with pride that felt both noble and foolish. But when her son fell ill and the hospital bills piled higher than her monthly salary, pride became a luxury she could no longer afford. She finally accepted his invitation to coffee. They sat in a quiet cafe, and she listened as he spoke about his own loneliness, his own failed marriage, his desire for a family to make whole again. He wasn't offering charity, he explained. He was offering partnership, companionship, perhaps even love if she would allow it. His eyes held genuine warmth, but her heart remained guarded, locked behind years of betrayal and survival. The children met him by accident one Saturday afternoon at the park. He had appeared with ice cream and a kite, his smile easy and natural. Her daughter stayed suspicious, watching this stranger with narrowed eyes, but her son's defenses crumbled within minutes. Soon the little boy was laughing, running with the kite string in his hands, experiencing the simple joy of male attention he'd been starving for. She watched from a bench, her emotions a tangled mess of hope and fear. Could she really do this? Could she let someone new into their fragile world? What if he left too? What if her children attached themselves to him only to face another abandonment? The thought paralyzed. But life had a way of forcing decisions. Her landlord announced a rent increase she couldn't possibly meet. The choice became stark: accept help or face homelessness. The surgeon made his offer clear. He wanted to marry her, not out of pity, but because he saw in her something he'd been searching for: strength, resilience, genuine humanity. He wanted to be a father to her children, not to replace what was lost, but to build something new. The proposal came simply, without grand gestures. They were sitting in his car after a hospital shift, exhausted and honest. He held her hand and asked if she would give him, Iba, Damol, a chance at happiness. She looked at his face, searching for deception, for hidden motives, for any sign of the lies she'd lived through before. She found only sincerity. Say sight, yes, but with conditions. The children came first, always. He would earn their trust, not demand Italiano. She would keep her independence, her jobs, her identity. This wasn't a rescue. It was a partnership. He agreed to everything, understanding that trust would be built slowly, brick by careful brick. The wedding was small, almost secretive. Her daughter still held reservations, standing stiffly in her new dress, but her son beamed, excited by the idea of a father figure. The surgeon, now her husband, bought them a larger apartment, one where the children could have their own rooms, where bills wouldn't cause panic attacks. Slowly, their new life took shape. He attended school events, helped with homework, cooked weekend breakfasts. He never tried to force affection, never demanded to be called father. He simply showed up, consistently, reliably, becoming a steady presence in their chaotic world. Her daughter's resistance lasted months. She tested him constantly, pushing boundaries, waiting for him to break, to leave, to prove that all men eventually disappeared. But he stayed. When she scored poorly on a test, he helped her study without judgment. When she woke from nightmares about her biological father, he sat quietly outside her door until she fell back asleep, respecting her space while ensuring she knew she wasn't alone. The turning point came unexpectedly. Her biological father appeared after 3 years of silence, suddenly interested in his children now that their mother had remarried wealth. He demanded visitation, claimed parental rights, threatened legal action. The confrontation happened at their apartment door, his voice loud with entitlement and alcohol. Her new husband stepped forward, his voice calm but unmovable. He spoke of the nights he'd stayed awake with sick children, the school plays attended, the tears dried, the homework supervised. He spoke of what fatherhood actually meant. Presence, not DNA. Responsibility, not rights. He offered the man a choice. Leave peaceably and let these children build a stable life, or face a legal battle he would absolutely lose. The biological father left, his shadow finally departing their lives. That night, her daughter climbed into her stepfather's lap for the first time, whispering a tentative thank you. His eyes welled with tears as he held her gently, understanding the magnitude of that small gesture. Months turned to years, the apartment filled with laughter instead of tears, with security instead of fear. She still worked, but now by choice rather than desperate necessity. Her children thrived in school, their confidence blooming under consistent love and support. One evening, her daughter was working on a school project about family. She wrote about her father, not the man who gave her DNA, but the man who gave her everything that mattered. She wrote about second chances, about how families are built through choice and commitment, not just blood. The mother read those words and finally allowed herself to believe in their new beginning. She had been so focused on survival that she'd almost missed the chance at actual happiness. Looking at her husband, playing with their children in the living room, she understood that sometimes the greatest act of love is accepting that you deserve it. Sometimes it really is time for a new father. A real one.